this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm sharing a little insight from one of my clients. So I will tell you that 2022 for me has been really a weird year. I, at different points, had so many clients going through divorces and so many clients kind of reaching out of like, I don't think I'm in a good relationship. I don't think I'm, but like, I'm not quite ready to leave. And I often tell my clients, like, one of the things that's really important at some point, if you're in a bad relationship, you will get to a point where it's kind of like, I'm out of here. And I said, everybody is different. I've had people that have come to me and then I've told them this and they're like, I'm going to stay for now. It's easier. We have kids together. We have this, we have grandkids, whatever it is. We have a vacation. Like, I hear all the excuses and I'm like, it's your life, your choice. Just telling you, at some point, you'll most likely get to a point where you're like, I'm out. And so 2022 is a year that I really had a lot of those. I have had at different times anywhere from 9 to about 27 clients of mine going through some type of divorce or proceeding or separation at some point. And I kind of was like, how can we make the relationship stronger? Because a lot of times when you really get to that point where you're kind of like, I'm out, I'm ready to move, I'm over this, it's kind of too little too late, no matter what the other person tries. And I saw a client the other day and her husband is doing that now. She's just like, I've basically screamed at the top of her voice for their 15-year marriage of like, this isn't working, I'm not happy, this isn't working. And his always solution was, let's have a child, let's have another child, let's buy a house, let's do this, let's buy a car. Like, it's always been like kind of more throwing money at her than anything else. And she has gotten to the point in 2022, kind of going into 2023, like, I'm over all this. I am out. And so I think these are kind of like, the whole purpose of this video is to kind of let you know that there's some things that if someone's been really telling you these things for quite a while and you haven't been listening, now is kind of like your wake-up call. You got to be listening, because if not, when they get to that point of like, I'm freaking out of here, it's way too late. It is way too late for any of that at that point. It's like you're talking to a wall, someone who's already like closed themselves off, shut themselves down, and are kind of just waiting for all of this to fall apart so they can move on with their life. So these are a few of things that I think are really important in any relationship, kind of like probably the 15 most important things. So I will tell you is kind of the first one and kind of the most important one is open communication. Being able to talk to someone without feeling judged, feeling, upset over it, or even if you're telling them like, hey, this has happened or whatever else, usually if the other person is taking offense to it, it's not an open communication. And that will kind of set you in one of those areas where the other person just gets to the point where it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore, because like every time I do, you take offense to it, and they'll just kind of like slowly shut down in those areas. So it's really important to kind of really listen, not get upset. Not every communication is a conflict or a problem or whatever else, or something that has to be resolved. Sometimes it's just, we got to say something, or we got to talk things out. And being mindful of the fact that non-communication or bad communication in a relationship is probably the first nail in the coffin for any relationship, marriage or otherwise. If you're not communicating well, it's not going to last very long. Probably the next one is respecting each other. I think this is kind of like anybody who is disrespecting themselves or other people. Love cannot really be, like talked about like this. It's like, if you're not able to talk with someone about how you feel about something, or respecting them, or hey, I feel like this is a problem, or we need to talk about this, and the other person just takes it as like you've attacked them, it's not going to last very long. Usually that kind of denotes, I hate saying it, but kind of like narcissistic energy, because usually a narcissistic feels like no matter what you say, you're talking bad about them, and it's not always that way. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is a problem, let's talk this out so we can find a great solution or another solution or something that works for both of us. Each partner really requires to kind of feel respected, listened to, understood, and it doesn't mean like you need to come up with an answer right away. Sometimes it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, let's keep this line of communication open until we find or resolve this. Respecting each other is probably one of the best things that you can do to kind of keep things going or flowing, or kind of keeping things moving in a relationship. Kind of my third one is really kind of trusting each other. You have to trust that other person, and trust comes in a lot of different ways. And sometimes it's just saying, like, you said you were going to do the dishes but you didn't, or you said you were going to vacuum and you didn't do this, or whatever else. Like, you have to trust the other person. But I will say trust comes down to a really, really big factor. And usually what I have found in most of the relationships that have gone south in the last year or two is the trust part comes in because one partner is cheating and the other partner knows about it. And so they're kind of like, I'm trusting you that you're going on this business trip, or I'm trusting you because you're doing this, that you're not doing this on the road. And I will tell you that will kill a relationship more than anything else. Most of my clients will tell me, like, I understood, so-and-so travels a lot, or that sort of thing. Like, I understand. Or they'll kind of try to understand for a period of time, but if it continues, it's a no-go. That relationship is bound to go apart. And kind of the best way to do is kind of, it's something that you're trusting that person to travel or whatever it is, go out of town, go see their family, whatever it is. And if you feel like they're cheating, then you need to say something right away, because this can also bring up a lot of health issues, not feeling secure, not for you or the other person in the relationship, not feeling secure or stable in that relationship of, like, I can tell them this, or I can tell them that, or, if I say the wrong thing, they're going to leave me for whoever they've been with. And so that kind of really comes in with a lot of trusting that the other person is going to be there for you emotionally, long term. And if cheating is happening, the trust is gone, and you have to rebuild that trust. And it takes a long time to rebuild that trust. It really does. And sometimes in some relationships, that trust will never be rebuilt. One of my clients, her husband has cheated on her probably over 20 times, if not more. And whatever he says at this point, she's like, I can't even hear it. Like, all I keep, imagining him is with different people. And I can understand that. He's still pushing to kind of keep the relationship going, or kind of keep in that marriage. But it's one of those, like, he's cheated way too many times. And just FYI, he's still cheating now. So it's not going to get any better. One of the things I will tell you is kind of, this kind of comes up kind of alongside the other one of, like, being able to trust each other, the loyalty, knowing that your partner is being faithful, is communicating with you. And if communication comes up with anybody else, maybe a high school ex-partner or something like that, or someone called to just check in, letting your partner know now, like, hey, I want to let you know that my high school boyfriend called and wanted to see how I was doing, or my college girlfriend, or whatever it is, kind of previous partners, and letting your current partner know. That's a loyalty of letting them know, like, what's going on, going to make them feel secure. And if necessary, let them see the communication, or let them hear the communication of what's going on. I had a lot of that when my high school reunion was about to happen. So I had a lot of people that I went to school with way back when, reaching out, talking, communicating, that sort of thing. And it was kind of fun and interesting. Now, I kept my husband apprised of who I was talking to and that sort of thing. Most of them he really wasn't really insecure about. He's not an insecure person in that area, so it was kind of fun. But it's one of those, like, hey, so-and-so reached out from high school, and they were like, how do you know them? And I was like, I think I had a class with them. high school's been a while for me, so it's one of those, it was kind of a fun thing. But make sure that that loyalty is there, that you're communicating with your partner of who's who you're talking to, who you're not talking to, emails that you get, having social media out there. For me, is I get people all the time that will ask me to marry them, to date them, to give them a job from other countries so they can move to the United States. This kind of gets to the crazy part, so I'm just kind of like, no, we're not going to go there. So that's kind of one of those things that I kind of let him know a lot of that, because it happens quite often. We kind of just laugh and joke about it. It's like, another one. Kind of my next one is compromising. I think compromising is something that some people are really good at, and some people are really not that good at it. I'm probably not that great at it as much as I would like to be. But I will tell you, there's always a common ground between something that you're compromising on. There's kind of like, but both people should be willing to kind of compromise to get to a middle common ground. That common ground of like, there's usually a little bit of common ground naturally, but then there's more where you're going to have to kind of give and take a little bit to kind of make this easier for you, easier for the other person, and kind of doing things like in a way that, like, I want this, you want this, like, how can we find, where is our compromise, where are we going to find this? And literally saying the word a lot of times kind of reminds you and them, you got to compromise in this area. So we're going to have to find something, that common ground for each of us, that we are willing to give up or trade for something else. Kind of my next one is upholding someone else's independence. And this comes in a lot of different ways. And this is usually in a very healthy relationship of being able to do things on your own, or go out with your own friends, go and have a girlfriend night or a guy's night out or whatever else. Making those changes of kind of like, it's okay to have different friends, or, you know, I know you don't like her, but I'm going to meet her for dinner or whatever else, and you could do something else. And kind of that independence for a lot of people. I think a lot of people think that this isn't as important as it is. I think it really makes a relationship much stronger to have people that are independent, that it's okay that I have an evening by myself, or it's okay that you went out with your friends. It's okay that you did something that I don't really care about. Like, I don't want to go see this movie. I'm not interested in it. But if you find someone else who wants to go with you, great. That's awesome. Those kind of independent actions, I think really makes a relationship much stronger, because now you have something new to talk about. Like, hey, you'll never guess, well, I was out at the movie with a friend, this happened, or I saw this person, or ran into our old friends from whatever. And that makes it kind of like spark those communications and kind of really talk things out. And it can be a really fun one to do. I think it really makes a relationship healthier to have nights out, guys' nights out, girls' nights out, things to do with different friends or family members, and kind of allow that to happen. I think one of the fun ones to do is kind of being happy in your relationship. Bringing in fun and excitement and happiness is like the backbone of every relationship. Doing things that y'all enjoy doing together, whatever that is. Doing things maybe that you don't always like, or the other person doesn't always like. But relationships are, you know, something that we really have to work at sometimes. But finding things that both of y'all like, things that will bring happiness to both of you, from time to time, is really a fun one and exciting one. And I think younger people are kind of better at this than kind of when we've been married for a long period of time, is like still dating each other. I think some of those date nights can be really fun, doing something different, kind of adding some different things that you normally wouldn't do, or hey, I heard about this and let's go try this out. That can be a really great energy, not only for you, but the other person as well, to kind of bring in this a little bit different energy, and allowing things to change, kind of like having that other person like, I don't really want to do this, but I'll do it because you want to do it, can bring in a lot of fun and excitement to both of you, and bring in new excitement for the relationship, kind of bringing that, let's do something different. So let's keep going. I think kind of feeling, this one's kind of a hard one, like committing to success. I think it's kind of like a two-way street of committing to communication, committing to kind of like invest in your relationship can be really important. I also think that it can also give a relationship a great time to kind of survive hardships, especially knowing that for a period of time, if someone's gone through like a death in the family or something like that, that may require like pulling back for a period of time to kind of grieve, and then but knowing that you're still committed to success together, that we're committed to the success of our relationship, can be a really, really healthy one. And I think that one kind of brings up the next one, is kind of like being a team. Especially as your life changes. If you're new in a relationship, it's just usually the two of you, maybe one of y'all had kids, but everybody feeling like they're on the same team at a certain point is really, really healthy, and everybody's on the same page, and everybody's working to bring in the best communication, the best time together. The energy of what's going on can be really healthy, and kind of making everybody feel like they have a voice to be heard and being part of what's going on together. This can be very strong, especially if you have kids, because a lot of times, like, people get together, they date, it's just the two of them, then they get married, and a couple of years later or so, they start having kids, and making the kids even feel like they're on the same team is really important, that everybody has a voice, everybody has a vote to say, and kind of moving through that, because eventually those kids kind of grew up and they go on their way, and then they'll be in a new relationship, and they're going to have learned how to be on the same team with everybody else, and kind of allowing that energy. Of course, there are times when like there may be miscommunications or there's problems, but knowing that everybody's on the same team and everybody's kind of like working to make this work for everybody is going to make everything easier and flow a lot easier around us. My next one is kind of spending quality time together, and I think this is really important. Like I said, kind of dating is a really good one, but if you have small kids or other people around you, each grown-up spending time with that smaller child or that child during the different times can really make that child feel a priority, make them feel important, and really make them feel like they get a chance to kind of have mom to themselves, or dad to themselves, or uncle to themselves, or whatever it is. That's a really important task. I think it's really important, even if people are like, well, I'm not around all the time, but when they are around, making sure that even if it's like just a few minutes, like, hey, why don't you walk me out to the car and we'll have a few minutes to chat to ourselves. Even that a little bit of a time is going to kind of make that person feel more of a priority, have them feel better about the relationship, and feel like there is their voice is being heard. And I think that's the important part about it. But spending that quality time together, even if it's not very long, it can be very important. Kind of my next one is kind of like expressing love. And I think people do this in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different avenues. I think this one's a really important one. A lot of times, like, expressing your love can come in different ways. And I think it's important to make every person on the team making them feel special. Now, of course, we're getting ready for Valentine's Day, and so I have a couple of my Valentine's Day cards. This one is to my husband. This is going to my daughter, and this one is going to my son. Now, kind of the expressing my love is I send cards to my kids probably once a month. I try to do it at least once a month. Sometimes I'm better at it than others. But this is a way for me to express and kind of like, you're on my mind, I'm thinking about you. Usually I get to put something special in there. Sometimes it's like even just like a $5 gift card to something. Sometimes it's just a few dollars, or just even a cute note of like, hey, I was thinking about you today and I thought I'd send you this card. Expressing our love is more important than so many other things. A lot of times I think, especially parents that have a lot of money or work really long hours and they make really good money, it's kind of like they end up throwing like money at the other partner. They end up throwing money at the kids, like, well, I bought them this, and they got to do all these things. Yeah, but they still crave being around you and expressing your love for them. Even if it's not on a daily basis, doing it from time to time can really help kind of cement that energy back together. Forgiveness is something that is really important. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does something wrong from time to time. But I will tell you, it's really important to kind of teach younger people, or teaching your partner, like, Forgiveness is something that happens, and we've got to work through this. Usually for me, I would say this is not kind of like the cheating part. Like this is, I'm sorry I forgot our anniversary, or I'm sorry I forgot your birthday, or I just made a mistake, or I put it on the wrong day. I did that with a friend's lunch the other day. I put it on the wrong day. And so I really, forgive me, please. Human, make mistakes, that sort of thing. I think that's kind of like to err is human, to forgive is divine, and it really is. And to know that people are trying their best most of the time, and really make the apology lighthearted, and really kind of like bringing in your heart in that. I think it's really important. And I will tell you that most people apologize incorrectly. So we're just going to go with this really quickly. I will link this down to my apology video, but I will say usually it's to state what happened. I apologize. I forgot to put, or I put our luncheon on the wrong day. Apologize, like literally stating it out. Number 2 is make a new commitment. I choose to, like from now on, when we make a date, I will reconfirm the date and the time one more time, or I'm going to do something else. Like, what is your new commitment? Because apology is not just, I'm sorry, let's move on. It is, I apologize for whatever it is, and stating it out so they're understanding, like, what you did wrong. And then the next part is, my new commitment is this. It makes it so much easier to really to spell it out at the beginning, and then kind of what is your new commitment, and all of this can make things so much easier. One of the things I will say is being just kind, being as nice as you can. It's one of those, I think a lot of times people kind of push this aside, but it really is more important than you really can imagine. Letting people know that, you're just on my mind, I'm thinking about you. Small acts of kindness can be a great way to kind of bring that partner and you back together. Sometimes it can be, I did the dishes. Sometimes it's like I vacuumed while you were gone. Some of it can be, I know you didn't sleep well last night, so I stayed quiet this morning so you could sleep in. That sort of thing. So those are kind of like those fun, like little things that kind of like shows your kindness, shows your love and your awareness of what they're going through, and where you really can add that kindness to people. I think that's kind of a fun one. I think my last one is really, really important, because it's essential to kind of every relationship. Every relationship has challenges. Every relationship. It's one of those, no matter what type of relationship you have, kind of allowing that to come in. The success is really in staying committed to each other, committed to the success of the relationship. And really, I would say most of all is kind of my top ones is showing the other person how much you love them, communicating with the other person, being kind, being available, and allowing the other person to kind of say things that they really have to say so that they can move on with their life. I think that's really, really important. I'm going to do just a few cards for this, because I know this video is getting a little bit on the long side, but I guarantee you this is a really important one, and it's important that you really kind of take in all of these 15 ones, because they are really something that's going to build a much healthier relationship. Freedom. This is kind of like that independence one, kind of like having the freedom to have your own friends outside of the relationship, having your colleagues or co-workers, that sort of thing can be really important. But having the freedom to be able to do other things, because like I said, that really does bring in a lot of common ground, or kind of like something to chat about, something else to talk about, or something else to kind of bring up in the relationship. Harmony. As long as you're staying on the same page, and communication is probably the best harmony that anybody could have in any relationship, is being able to talk things out. Intentions. Setting your intentions early in a relationship can be really helpful. My light just went out. Having a great relationship, or having intentions of, we're setting the intentions, we're going to work on this relationship no matter what, we are going to work on this, we are going to do things much more carefully, much more setting the intentions that we are going to be successful in all of this is going to be a great one. My next one is balance. Balancing your relationship now with what's going on is going to be essential. Balance is everything. Balancing your relationship with your job, balancing your job with your relationships, balancing your family with your job and your relationship. All of these are balances that take time to learn how to do, but they're very, very important. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.